I remember last week there was like a guy. There was like a woman, and she ate a baby, and then the other woman was like, "Okay, now it's time to eat your baby." But then she was like, "No, don't eat my baby." Ba 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 ba. Really, they ate what? They ate babies. There was a famine, and so they ate babies. Two women had babies, and they were like, "Oh, I'm so hungry. Let's agree to eat the babies." And then they ate one of the babies, but then she was like, and then the one whose baby got eaten was like, "Okay, now let's eat your babies." And then she was like, "No, no, you cannot eat my baby." So she went to the king and was like, "The woman ate my baby and wouldn't let me eat her baby." And so the king tore off his clothes and was like, um, "So help me, Lord, if that baby's head remains on his shoulder till the end of the day or whatever." Remember? Between that and the king testing via giving half a child to each to each mother? That happened ages ago. But he wasn't gonna do it. He wasn't gonna really chop the baby in half. They don't do that in Hollywood. It's because of the woke left. Liberals will never allow that. Um, um, you're good. Ask, see, because you have, uh, uh, I don't remember what I last read. Ba ba ba. I anoint you king. Whole house of Ahab, cut off Ahab, every last male. I will make the house of Ahab like that of Jeroboam. Then he opened the door and ran. Hi, Ilias. Good morning. Quickly took the cloaks and spread them under him on the bare steps, and they blew the trumpet. Jehu is king now. Jehu, son of Jehoshaphat, the son of Nimshi, conspired against Joam. But King Joam returned to Jezreel, cover from the wounds. Then he got into his chariot. When the lookout standing on the tower, I don't remember this, but I'm calling out treachery. The arrow pierced his heart and slumped down in his chariot. Oh yes. They brought an army to the king, and they were like, "Yo," and so he sent out a messenger to greet with the army, and was like, and then the guy joined the army, and then he sent out another messenger, and then that messenger also joined the army, and then the king went out and was like, "Do you come in peace?" And they were like, "No." we don't come in peace. And then he ran away on his chariot, but they shot him with a bow in the back of the heart. Slumped down. Yesterday I saw the blood. Pick up. When Azahab, he fled the road, Jehu chased it. I think God promised Jehu that he could kill everybody or something. Shpatan Jehu and have come in peace. Murdered my master, who's on my side 2 or 3, and blah blah blah. On the flat of the ground, Jezreel dogs will devour Jezebel's flesh. Jezebel's body will be like dung on the ground in the plot at Jezreel, so that no one will be able to say this is Jezebel. Ah, yes. Now there were in Samaria 70 sons of the house of Ahab. So Jehu wrote letters and sent them to Samaria, to the officials of Jezreel, to the elders, and to the guardians of Ahab's children. He said, "You have your master's sons with you, and now you have chariots and horses and fortified cities and weapons. Now as soon as this letter reaches you, choose the best and most worthy of your master's sons and set him on his father's throne. Then fight for your master's house." But they were terrified and said, "If 2 kings could not resist him, how can we?" So the palace administrator, the city governor, the elders, and the guardians sent a message to Jehu. "We are your servants, and we will do anything you say. We will not appoint anyone as king. You do whatever you think is best." Then Jehu wrote a second letter saying, "If you are on my side and will obey me, take the heads of your master's son and come to me in Jezreel by this time tomorrow." Now the royal princes, 70 of them, were with the leading men of the city who were rearing them. When the letter arrived, these men took the princes and slaughtered all 70 of them. They put their heads in baskets and sent them to Jehu in Jezreel. When the messenger arrived, he told Jehu, "They have brought the heads of the princes." And Jehu ordered, "Put them in 2 piles at the entrance of the city gate until morning." The next morning Jehu went out. He stood before all the people and said, "You are innocent. It was I who conspired against my master and killed him. But who killed all these? Know then, not a word the Lord has spoken against the house of Ahab will fail. The Lord has done what he announced through his servant Elijah." So Jehu killed everyone in Jezreel who remained of the house of Ahab, as well as his chief men. His chief men, his close friends, and his priests, leaving him no survivor. Jehu then set out and went toward Samaria at Beth Eked. Yeah? At Beth Eked of the shepherds, he met some relatives of Ahaziah, king of Judah, and asked, "Who are you?" They said. "We are relatives of Ahaziah, and we have come down to greet the families of the king and the queen mother." "Take them alive," he ordered. So they took him alive and slaughtered them by the well of Beth Eked. 42 of them. He left no survivor. After he left there, he came upon Jehonadab, son of Rechab, who was on his way to meet him. Jehu greeted him and said, "Are you in accord with me, as I am with you?" "I am," Jehonadab answered. "If so," said Jehu, "give me your hand." So he did, and Jehu helped him up into the chariot. Jehu said, "Come with me and see my zeal for the Lord." Then he had him ride along in his chariot. When Jehu came to Samaria, he killed all who were left there of Ahab's family. He destroyed them according to the word of the Lord spoken to Elijah. Then Jehu brought all the people together and said to them, Ahab served Baal a little. Jehu will serve him much. Now summon all the prophets of Baal, all his servants and all his priests. See that no one is missing, because I am going to hold a great sacrifice for Baal. We already read this one chapter. I remember. Because I am going to hold a great sacrifice for Baal. Anyone who fails to come will no longer live. But Jehu was acting deceptively in order to destroy the servants of Baal. Jehu said, Call an assembly in honor of Baal, so they proclaimed it. Then he sent word throughout Israel, and all the servants of Baal came. Not one stayed. They crowded into the temple of Baal until it was full from one end to the other. And Jehu said to the keeper of the wardrobe, Bring robes for all the servants of Baal. So he brought out robes. Then Jehu and Jehonadab, son of Rechab, went into the temple of Baal. Jehu said to the servants of Baal, Look around and see that no one who serves the Lord is here with you, only servants of Baal. So they went in to make the sacrifices and burnt offerings. Now Jehu had posted 80 men outside with this warning. If one of you lets any of the men I am placing in your hands escape, it will be your life for his life. As soon as Jehu had finished making the burnt offering, he ordered the guards and officers, Go in and kill them. Let no one escape. So they cut them down with the sword. The guards and the officers threw the bodies out and then entered the inner shrine of the temple of Baal. They brought the sacred stone out of the temple of Baal and burnt it. They demolished the sacred stone of Baal and tore down the temple of Baal. And people have used it for a latrine to this day. Isn't Baal a demon in demon? So Jehu destroyed Baal worship in Israel. We already read about the... Yeah, we did. I accidentally reread this chapter. I hope that's okay. I miswrote. I didn't remember what I read last time. It's a refresher. It's a refresher chapter. What happened last time? However, he did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he had caused Israel to commit, the worship of the golden calves at Bethel and Dan. The Lord said to Jehu, Because you have done well in accomplishing what is right in my eyes, and have done to the house of Ahab all I had in mind to do, your descendants will sit on the throne of Israel to the 4th generation. Yet Jehu was not careful to keep the word of the law of the law of the Lord, and the God of Israel. With all his heart, he did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, which he had caused Israel to commit. In those days, the Lord began to reduce the size of Israel. Hazael overpowered the Israelites through their territory, east of the Jordan, in all the land of Gilead. From Aroer by the Arnon Gorge, through Gilead to Bashan. As for the other events of Jehu's reign, all he did and all his achievements, are they not written in the book of annals of the king of Israel? Jehu rested with his ancestors and was buried in Samaria, and Jehoahaz, his son, succeeded him as king. The time that Jehu reigned over Israel and Samaria was 28 years. Okay, now this is new. When Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, she proceeded to destroy the whole royal family. But Jehosheba, the daughter of King Jehoram, and the sister of Ahaziah, took Joash, son of Ahaziah, and stole him away from among the royal princes, who were about to be murdered. She put him and his nurse in a bedroom to hide him from Athaliah, so he was not killed. He remained hidden with his nurse at the temple of the Lord for 6 years, while Athaliah ruled the land. In the 7th year, Jehoiada sent for the commanders of units of 100, the Carites and the guards, and had them brought to him at the temple of the Lord. He made a covenant with them and put them under the oath at the temple of the Lord. Then he showed them the king's son. He commanded them, saying, "This is what you are to do. You who are here in the 3 companies that are going on duty on the Sabbath, a third of you guarding the royal palace, a third at the Sur Gate, and a third at the gate behind the guard, who takes turn guarding the temple. And you who are in the other 2 companies that normally go off the Sabbath duty, are all to guard the temple for the king. Station yourselves around the king, each to you with weapon in hand. Anyone who approaches your ranks is to be put to death. Stay close to the king wherever he goes." The commanders of units of 100 did just as Jehoiada the priest ordered. Each one took his men, those who were going on duty on the Sabbath, and those who were going off duty, and came to Jehoiada the priest. Then he gave the commanders the spears and shields that had belonged to King David, and that were in the temple of the Lord. The guards, each with their weapon in hand, stationed themselves around the king, near the altar and the temple, from the south side to the north side of the temple. Jehoiada brought out the king's son and put the crown on him. He presented him with a copy of the covenant and proclaimed him king. They anointed him, and the people clapped their hands and shouted, "Long live the king!" When Athaliah heard the noise by the guards and the people, she went to the people at the temple of the Lord. She looked, and there was the king standing by the pillar, as the custom was. The officers and the trumpeters were beside the king, and all the people of the land were rejoicing and blowing trumpets. Then Athaliah tore her robes and called out, "Treason! Treason!" Jehoiada the priest ordered the commanders of the units of 100 who were in charge of the troops, "Bring her out between the ranks and put to the sword anyone who follows her." For the priest had said, She must be put to death in the temple of the Lord." So they seized her as she reached the place where the horses enter the palace grounds, and there she was put to death. Jehoiada then made a covenant between the Lord and the king and the people that they would be the Lord's people. He also made a covenant between the king and the people. All the people of the land went to the temple of Baal and tore it down. They smashed the altars and idols to pieces and killed Matan, the priest of Baal, in front of the altars. Then Jehoiada the priest posted guards at the temple of the Lord. He took with him the commanders of 100s, the Carites, the guards, and all the people of the land, and together they brought the king down from the temple of the Lord and went to the palace, entering by way of the gate of the guards. The king then took his place on the royal throne. All the people of the land rejoiced, and the city was calm, because Athaliah had been slain with the sword at the palace. Jehoash was 7 years old when he began to reign. If you can be a king at 7 years old, what's your excuse? Huh? This kid was 7 years old when he was king. You're how old and you're not a king? In the 7th year of Jehu, Joash became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 40 years. His mother's name was Zibiah. She was from Beersheba. Joash did what was right in the eyes of the Lord all the years Jehoiada the priest instructed him. What about the golden calves? Are those still up? They haven't said about how he took him down yet. The high places, however, were not removed. The people continued to offer sacrifices and burn incense there. Oh. Joash said to the priests, "Collect all the money that is brought as sacrifice to the temple of the Lord, the money collected in the census, the money received from personal vows, and the money brought voluntarily to the temple. Let every priest receive money from one of the treasurers, then use it to repair whatever damage is found in the temple." But by the 23rd year of King Joash, the priests still had not repaired the temple. Therefore King Joash summoned Jehoiada, the priest, and the other priests asked them, "Why aren't you repairing the damage done to the temple? Take no more money from the treasurers, but hand it over for repairing the temple." The priests agreed that they would not collect any more money from the people, and that they would not repair the temple themselves. What? Jehoiada the priest took a chest and bored a hole in its lid. He placed it beside the altar, on the right side as one enters the temple of the Lord. The priests who guarded the entrance put into the chest all the money that was brought to the temple of the Lord. When they saw that there was a large amount of money in the chest, the royal secretary and the high priest came, counted the money that had been brought into the temple of the Lord, and put it into bags. When the amount had been determined, they gave the money to the men appointed to supervise the work on the temple. With it, they paid those who worked on the temple of the Lord, the carpenters and builders, the masons and stone cutters. They purchased. You have to pay people for that? Shouldn't it just be like the duty of the people to uphold the Lord's sanctuary? Like because they want to, not because they earn money for it? Heck, if I was doing something for the Lord, I would be happy just to do it for the Lord. I wouldn't want to take the Lord's money. They purchased timber and blocks of dressed stone for the repair of the temple of the Lord, and met all the other expenses of restoring the temple. The money brought into the temple was not spent for making silver basins, wick trimmers, sprinkling bowls, trumpets, or any other articles of gold or silver for the temple of the Lord. It was paid to the workers who used it to repair the temple. They did not require an accounting from those to whom they gave the money to pay the workers, because they acted with complete honesty. The money from the guilt offerings and the sin offerings was not brought into the temple of the Lord. It belonged to the priests. About this time, Hazael, king of Aram, went up and attacked Gath and captured it. Then he turned to attack Jerusalem. But Joash, king of Judah, took all the sacred objects dedicated by his predecessors, Jehoshaphat, Jehoram, and Ahaziah, the kings of Judah, and the gifts he himself had dedicated, and all the gold found in the treasury of the temple of the Lord, and of all the royal palace, and he sent them to Hazael, king of Aram, who then withdrew from Israel. As for the other events of the reign of Joash, and all he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? His officials conspired against him, and assassinated him at Beth Millo, on the road down to Selah. No! The officials who murdered him were Jozabad, son of Shimeath, and Jehozabad, son of Shomer. He died and was buried in his ancestors' tomb in the city of David, and Amaziah, his son, succeeded him as king. In his 23rd year of Joash, son of Ahaziah, king of Judah, Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, became king of Israel in Samaria. and he reigned 17 years. He did evil in the. He must have done pretty. The Joash must have done something pretty bad for his officials to kill him. He did evils in the eyes of the Lord by following the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he had caused Israel to commit, and he did not turn away from them. So the Lord's anger burned against Israel, and for a long time he kept them under the power of Hazael, king of Aram, and Ben-Hadad his son. Then Jehoaz sought the Lord's favor, and the Lord listened to him, for he saw how severely the king of Aram was oppressing Israel. The Lord provided a deliverer for Israel, and they escaped from the power of Aram. So the Israelites lived in their own homes as they had before. But they did not turn away from the sins of the house of Jeroboam, which he had caused Israel to commit. They continued in them. Also, the Asherah pole remained standing in Samaria. Nothing had been left of the army of Jehoaz except 50 horsemen, 10 chariots, and 10,000 foot soldiers. Nothing had been left. Only 10,000 foot soldiers. For the king of Aram had destroyed the rest and made them like dust at threshing time. As for the other events of the reign of Jehoaz, all he did and all his achievements, are they not written in the book of Annals of the kings of Israel? Hi, Arctic Fairy, good morning. Long time, hi. Jehoahaz rested with his ancestors and was buried in Samaria, and Jehoash his son succeeded him as king. In the 37th year of Jehoash king of Judah, Jehoash son of Jehoahaz became king of Israel in Samaria, and he reigned 16 years. Hi. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and he did not turn away. Maybe the Lord needs to voice his concern, because I'm seeing a trend of kings doing things that is bad in the eyes of the Lord. Maybe if the Lord just says, hey, next king, new king, I don't actually like when you pray to golden calves. So how about remove them and maybe reread the scripture, reread the 10 Commandments and see what I actually want. There's the philosophy to being a god, strangely enough. A philosophy? Which called. As for the other events of the reign of Jehoash, all he did and his achievements, including his war against the Amaziah king of Judah, are they not written in the book of the Annals of the kings of Israel? Jehoash rested with his ancestors. What a loser. Is that all he got in the Bible? Is that it? He became king. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord. He died. Wow. Pathetic. Jehoash rested with his ancestors, and Jeroboam succeeded him. Jeroboam? There's been like 5 Jeroboams in this book. What you're seeing is simply the cost of free will, where one divine being influence can erode the possibilities of their subjects. Don't get it. Don't get it. Jehoash rested with it. Jeroboam succeeded him as king on the throne. Jehoash was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel. Now Elisha had been suffering from the illness from which he died. Jehoash, king of Israel, went down to see him and wept over him. Elisha just died like that? That's it. Basically, we'll lose what it means to be human if our father becomes a helicopter parent. Uh, I guess so. But there are rules in this house that we have to follow. This is the Lord's house. The Lord's house being the entirety of earth and Israel. You follow the rules, and if you don't follow the rules, you get kicked out, and you get reminded of the rules whenever somebody does something wrong. Don't do that. They can do it, but maybe it's that they forgot. Maybe like it's been so long since the last time somebody was reminded. Oh, this thing, my 10th generation ancestor has been praying to golden calves. They've been doing it. Why can't I do it? Maybe they just don't know because they haven't been like taught correctly, and that's not their fault. And they get punished because their parents made them pray to gold calves, and that's just what they know and what they do. Elisha had been suffering from the illness from which he had died. Jehoash, king of Israel, who was supposed to be dead, I don't know why he's mentioned, king of Israel, went down to see him and wept over him. My father, he cried, the chariots and the horsemen of Israel. Elisha said, get a bow and some arrows. And he did so. Take the bow in your hands, he said to the king of Israel. When he had taken it, Elisha put his hands on the king's hands. Open the east window, he said, and he opened it. Shoot, Elisha said, and he shot. The Lord's arrow of victory, the arrow of victory over Aram, Elisha declared. You will completely destroy the Arameans at Aphek. And then he said, take the arrows, and the king took them. Elisha told him, strike the ground. He struck it 3 times and stopped. The man of God was angry with him. The man of God was angry with him and said, you should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times. Then you would have defeated Aram and completely destroyed it. But now you will defeat it only 3 times. What? He didn't specify a number. If I heard strike the ground, I would have struck it only once. Elisha died and was buried. Now Moabite raiders used to enter the country every spring. Once, while some Israelites were burying a man, suddenly they saw a band of raiders. So they threw the man's body into Elisha's tomb, where the bodies touched Elisha's bones. The man came to life and stood up on his feet. What? No way. So if we find Elisha's body in Israel, does that mean we can resurrect the dead? Hazael, king of Aram, oppressed Israel throughout the reign of Jehoaz. No, it's Elisha, not Elijah. Elijah was the father of Elisha. Pushes in glasses. Sorry. Hazael, king of Aram, oppressed Israel throughout the reign of Jehoaz. But the Lord was gracious to them, and had compassion, and showed concern for them, because of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. To this day, he has been willing to destroy them, or banish them from his presence. Hazael, king of Aram, died, and Ben-Hadad his son succeeded him as king. Then Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, recaptured from Ben-Hadad, son of Hazael, the towns he had taken in battle from his father Jehoahaz. 3 times Jehoash defeated him, and so he recovered the towns, the Israelite towns. Of course. What are you talking about? I'm really good at pronouncing things. In the second year of Jehoash, son of Jehoash, king of Israel, Amaziah, son of Jehoash, king of Judah, began to reign. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 29 years. His mother's name was Jehoadan. She was from Jerusalem. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, but not as his father David had done. In everything, he followed the example of his father Joash. The high places, however, again, were not removed. The people continued to offer sacrifices and burn incense there. After the kingdom, it's like nobody knows they're doing the wrong thing because so many generations were doing the wrong thing and it's just ingrained in them. It's like, oh, well, we've been doing this, and it takes like some sleuth to open up the Bible and be like, open up the scripture and be like, in this tiny little passage in this giant book of things about the Lord, actually we're not allowed to burn incense and offer sacrifices to gold calves. Shit. And we've been doing things wrong. It's like, you know? Why has nobody said anything? Do they know they're doing the wrong thing? I feel like at this point, they don't even know they're doing the wrong thing anymore. There's only one David. There's only been one David mentioned in the Bible. They're talking about David, and Goliath. There can only be one David. After the king was firmly in his grasp, he executed the officials who had murdered his father, the king. Yeah, it's always the same David. David was the best and most righteous and gracious king of all the kings. There has not been a better king than David, a righteous dude. Maybe Moses. Moses was pretty good too. But Moses didn't get to be a king because he wasn't allowed into Israel because he accidentally hit a rock instead of like whispered to the rock or whatever. They mention Moses in this sentence, in this next sentence. That's wild. Yet he did not put the children of the assassins to death, in accordance with what is written in the book of the law of Moses, where the Lord commanded, parents ought not to be put to death for their children, nor parents are not to be put to death for their children, nor children put to death for their parents. So he can follow the book. So he knows. So these people, they have the ability to read the book, and the book would say, don't burn incense and don't worship calves, golden calves. They followed this thing that has not been mentioned even once in this entire Bible, but they don't follow gold calves. Each will die for their own sin. He was the one who defeated 10,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt and captured Selah in battle, called in Joktheel, the name it has to this day. Then Amaziah sent messages to Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, who is supposed to be dead, both supposed to be dead, the son of Jehu, king of Israel, with the challenge, come, let us face each other in battle. But Jehoash, king of Israel, replied, "Wait, what happened to the guy that got resurrected? Did they just... Is that it? He got resurrected and that's it?" Yeah, that's it. This amazing thing happened and this guy is now alive. And that's it. End of story. Then Amaziah sent messengers, blah blah blah. "Come, let us face each other in battle." But Jehoash, king of Israel, replied to Amaziah, king of Judah, "A thistle in Lebanon sent a message to a cedar in Lebanon. Give your daughter to my son in marriage." Then a wild beast in Lebanon came along and trampled the thistle underfoot. "You have indeed defeated Edom, and now you are arrogant. Glory in your victory, but stay at home. Why ask for trouble and cause your own downfall, and that of Judah also?" Amaziah, however, would not listen, so Jehoash, king of Israel, attacked. He and Amaziah, king of Judah, faced each other in battle. He faced each other at Beth Shemesh in Judah. Judah was routed by Israel, and every man fled to his home. Jehoash, king of Israel, captured Amaziah, king of Judah, the son of Joash, the son of Ahaziah, at Beth Shemesh. Then Jehoash went to Jerusalem and broke down the wall of Jerusalem from the Ephraim gate to the corner gate, a section about 400 cubits long. He took all the gold and silver and all the articles found in the temple of the Lord and in the treasuries of the royal palace. He also took hostages and returned to Samaria. As for the other events of the reign of Jehoash, what he did and his achievements, including his war against Amaziah, king of Judah, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel? Jehoash rested with his ancestors and was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel, and Jehoram his son succeeded him as king. How many Jehoash and Jeroboams are there? This is like the third one, the third set. King of Israel. As for the other events of Amaziah's reign, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? They conspired against him in Jerusalem, and he fled to Lachish. But they sent men after him to Lachish and killed him there. He was brought back so this is the third time he's died now. He was brought back by horse and was buried in Jerusalem with his ancestors in the city of David. Then all the people of Judah looked at Azariah, who was 16 years old, and made him king in place of his father, Amaziah. He was the one who built Elath and restored it to Judah after Amaziah rested with his ancestors. Jeroboam too. So it is different Jeroboams and Joash. It's like a Javan 4. It is just the same name, but like Javan the 4th, you know? In the 15th year of Amaziah, son of Joash, king of Judah, Jeroboam, son of Joash, Jehoash, king of Israel, became king in Samaria, and he reigned 41 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat. It is. It is. There's like 20 of them with the same name, which he caused Israel to commit. He was the one who restored the boundaries of Israel from Lebo Hamath to the Dead Sea in accordance with the word of the Lord, the God of Israel, spoken through his servant Jonah, son of Amittai, the prophet from Gath-Hepher. The Lord had seen how bitterly everyone in Israel, whether slave or free, was suffering. There was no one to help them, and since the Lord had not said he would blot out the name of Israel from under the heaven, he saved them by hand of Jeroboam, son of Jehoash, again. As for the other events of Jeroboam's reign, all he did and his military achievements, including how he recovered for Israel both Damascus and Hamath, which had belonged to Judah, are they not written in the book of the Annals of the kings of Israel? Jeroboam rested with his ancestors, the kings of Israel, and Zechariah, his son, succeeded him as king. In the 27th year of Jeroboam, king of Israel, Azariah, son of Amaziah, king of Judah, began to reign. He was 16 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 52 years. His mother's name was Jecoliah. She was from Jerusalem. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. Hooray! Just as his father Amaziah had done. The high places, however, were not removed. The people continued to offer sacrifices and burn incense there. The Lord afflicted the king with leprosy until the day he died. Oh no. And he lived in a separate house. Jotham, the king's son, had charge of the palace and governed the people of the land. As for the other events of Azariah's reign, all he did, are they not written in the book of the Annals of the kings of Judah? Are they not? Azariah rested with his ancestors and was buried near them in the city of David, and Jotham, his son, succeeded him as king. In the 38th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Zechariah, son of Jeroboam, became king of Israel in Samaria, and he reigned 6 months. I thought he already did that. They're just repeating things. Wait, what? Jotham. In the 38th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Zechariah, son of Jeroboam, became king of Israel in Samaria, and he reigned 6 months. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and as his predecessors had done. He did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he had caused Israel to commit. Shallum, son of Jabesh, conspired against Zechariah. He attacked him in front of the people, assassinated him, and succeeded him as king. What, the people allowed that? Nobody said, "Hold on, did you just assassinate our king? Oh, actually, I think we just decided that you're the king now because you did that." The other events of Zechariah's reign are written in the book of the Annals of the kings of Israel. Probably not very much for 6 months of reigning. So the word of the Lord spoken to Jehu was fulfilled. Your descendants will sit on the throne of Israel to the 4th generation. Shallum, son of Jabesh, became king in the 39th year of Uzziah, king of Judah, and he reigned in Samaria 1 month. Then Menahem, son of Gadi, went from Tirzah up to Samaria. He attacked Shallum, son of Jabesh, in Samaria, assassinated him, and succeeded him as king. The other events of Shallum's reign and the conspiracy he led are written in the book of Annals of the kings of Israel. At the time of Menahem, starting out from Tirzah, attacked Tifsah and everyone in the city and its vicinity. Because they refused to open their gates, he sacked Tifsah and ripped open all the pregnant women, as you do. In the 39th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Menahem, son of Gadi, became king of Israel, and he reigned in Samaria 10 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord. During his entire reign, he did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he had caused Israel to commit. Then Pul, king of Assyria, invaded the land, and Menahem gave him 1,000 talents of silver to gain his support and strengthen his own hold on the kingdom. Menahem exacted this money from Israel. Every wealthy person had to contribute 50 shekels of silver to be given to the king of Assyria. So the king of Assyria withdrew and stayed in the land no longer. But why accept only 50 what? How many? Like 10 talents of silver? When you can take everything. As for the other events of Menahem's reign and all he did, are they not written in the book of the Annals of the Kings of Israel? Menahem rested with his ancestors, and Pekahiah, his son, succeeded him as king. In the 15th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekahiah, son of Menahem, became king of Israel in Samaria, and he reigned 2 years. Pekahiah did evil in the eyes of the Lord. He did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he had caused Israel to commit. One of his chief officers, Pekah, son of Remaliah, conspired against him, taking 50 men of Gilead with him. He assassinated Pekahiah, along with Argob and Ariah, in the citadel of the royal palace at Samaria. So Pekah killed Pekahiah and succeeded him as king. The other events of Pekahiah's reign and all he did are written in the book of the Annals of the Kings of Israel. In the 52nd year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekah, son of Remaliah, became king of Israel in Samaria, and he reigned 20 years. Guess what he did? Can you guess? Guess what he did, guys? He did evil in the eyes of the Lord. He did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he caused Israel to commit. In the time of Pekah, king of Israel, Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, came and took Ijon, Abel, Beth, Maacah, Genoa, Kadesh, and Hazor. He took Gilead and Galilee up, including all the land of Naphtali, and deported the people to Assyria. Then Hoshea, son of Elah, conspired against Pekah, son of Remaliah. He attacked and assassinated him, and then succeeded him as king. In the 20th year of Jotham, son of Uzziah, As for the other events of Pekah's reign and all he did, are they not written in the book of the Annals of the Kings of Israel? No? In the 2nd year of Pekah, son of Remaliah, king of Israel, Jotham, son of Uzziah, king of Judah, began to reign. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 16 years. His mother's name Jerusha, daughter of Zadok. He did what was right. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, just as his father Uzziah had done. The high places, however, guess what? It's getting late. One of the kings was 6 or 7 when he became king. What's your excuse, buddy? I didn't see you king when you were 6 or 7. He did. The high places, however, were not removed. The people continued to offer sacrifices and burn incense there. Jotham rebuilt the upper gate of the temple of the Lord. As for the other events of Jotham's reign and what he did, are they not written in the book of the Annals of the King of Judah? Brackets. In those days the Lord began to send Rezin, king of Aram, and Pekah, son of Remaliah, against Judah. Jotham rested with his ancestors and buried with them in the city of David, the city of his father, and Ahaz, his son, succeeded him as king. I feel like it's been a while since there's been a real God prophet, a real prophet that spoke to the Lord. In the 17th year of Pekah, son of Remaliah, Ahaz, son of Jotham, king of Judah, began to reign. Ahaz was 20 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 16 years. Unlike David his father, he did not do what was right in the eyes of the Lord his God. He followed the ways of the kings of Israel, and even sacrificed his son in the fire. Why did he do that? Why did he do that? Why did he do that? When has the Lord ever wanted human sacrifices, aside from maybe 1 or 2 times? Aside from maybe that one time during Moses' era? Engaging in the sacrifice his son in the fire. Did he just do it for the love of the game? Maybe. He followed the ways of the kings of Israel and even sacrificed his son in the fire, engaging in detestable practices of the nations of the Lord had driven out before the Israelites. He offered sacrifices and burnt incense at the high places, on the hilltops, and under every spreading tree. It's clear that these people think, oh yeah, the God really wants this. I don't think they're doing it because, they're not doing it because they know God hates it. I just think they genuinely don't know anymore. They don't know what is right and wrong. It's not the removal of free will if God comes and tells them, yo, I don't like that shit, cut it out. That's not removing free will. That's just cementing the rules a bit harder, you know? God clearly doesn't like it. Tell them. They don't know. Then Rezin, king of Aram, and Pekah, son of Remaliah, king of Israel, marched up to fight against Jerusalem and besieged Ahaz, but they could not overpower him. At that time, Rezin, king of Aram, recovered Elath for Aram by driving out the people of Judah. Edomites then moved into Elath and have lived there to this day. Ahaz sent messages to say to Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, I am your servant and vassal. Vassal? Come up and save me out of the hand of the king of Aram and the king of Israel, who are attacking me. And Ahaz took the silver and gold found in the temple of the Lord and in the treasures of the royal palace and sent it as a gift to the king of Assyria. I don't think God's gonna like that. That's God's gold and silver. The king of Assyria complied by attacking Damascus and capturing it. He deported its inhabitants to Kir and put Rezin to death. Then King Ahaz went to Damascus to meet Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria. He saw an altar in Damascus and sent to Uriah the priest a sketch of the altar, with detailed plans for its construction. So Uriah the priest built an altar in accordance with the plans that King Ahaz had sent from Damascus, and finished it before King Ahaz returned. When the king came back from Damascus and saw the altar, he approached it and presented offerings on it. He offered up his burnt offerings and grain offering, poured out his drink offering, and splashed the blood of his fellowship offering against the altar. As for the bronze altar that stood before the Lord, he brought it from the front of the temple, from between the new altar and the temple of the Lord, and put it on the north side of the new altar. King Ahaz then gave these orders to Uriah the priest. On the large new altar, offer the morning burnt offering and the evening grain offering, the king's burnt offering and the grain offering, and the burnt offering of all the people of the land and their grain offering and their drink offering. Splash against this altar the blood of all the burnt offerings and sacrifices, but I will use the bronze altar for seeking guidance. And Uriah the priest did just as King Ahaz had ordered. The king Ahaz cut off the side panels and removed the basins from the movable stands. He removed the sea from the bronze bulls that supported it and set it on a stone base. He took away the Sabbath canopy that had been built at the temple and removed by the royal entrance. But the royal I removed the royal entryway outside the temple of the Lord, in deference to the king of Assyria. As for the other events of the reign of Ahaz and what he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? Ahaz rested with his ancestors and was buried with them in the city of David, and Hezekiah, his son, succeeded him as king. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, Hoshea, son of Elah, became king of Israel in Samaria, and he reigned 9 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, but not like the kings of Israel who preceded him. Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, came up to attack Hoshea, who had been Shalmaneser's vassal and had paid him tribute. But the king of Assyria discovered that Hoshea was a traitor, for he had sent envoys to the king of Egypt, and he no longer paid tribute to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore Shalmaneser seized him and put him in prison. The king of Assyria invaded the entire land, marched against Samaria, and laid siege to it for 3 years. The kings of this place are they seem kind of pressed, you know? They never just chill out. They're always pressed. He settled them in Halah, in Gozan on the Habor River, and in the towns of the Medes. All this took place because the Israelites had sinned against the Lord their God, who had brought them up out of Egypt from under the power of the Pharaoh, king of Egypt. They worshipped other gods and followed their practices of the nations the Lord had driven out before them, as well as the practices that the kings of Israel had introduced. The Israelites secretly did things in the eyes of the Lord their God that were not right. From watchtower to fortified city, they built themselves high places in all their towns. They set up sacred stones and Asherah poles on every high hill, under every spreading tree. Hi, Robbie Bobby, good morning. At every high place, they burned incense, as the nations whom the Lord had driven out before them had done. They did wicked things that aroused the Lord's anger. They worshipped idols though the Lord had said, "You shall not do this." The Lord warned Israel and Judah through all his prophets and seers, "Turn from your evil ways, observe my commands and decrees in accordance with the entire law that I commanded your ancestors to obey, and that I delivered to you through my servants the prophets." But they would not listen, and were as stiff-necked as their ancestors who did not trust in the Lord their God. They rejected his decrees and the covenant that he had made with their ancestors, and the statutes he had warned them to keep. They followed worthless idols and themselves became worthless. They imitated the nations around them, although the Lord had ordered them, "Do not do as they do." They forsook all the commands of the Lord their God and made for themselves 2 idols cast in the shape of calves and an Asherah pole. They bowed down to the starry hosts, and they worshipped Baal. They sacrificed their sons and daughters in the fire. They practiced divination and sought omens, and sold themselves to do evil in the eyes of the Lord, arousing his anger. So the Lord was very angry with Israel and removed them from his presence. Only the tribe of Judah was left, and even Judah did not keep the commands of the Lord their God. They followed the practices Israel had introduced. Therefore the Lord rejected all the people of Israel. He afflicted them and gave them into the hands of plunderers until he thrust them from his presence. When he tore Israel away from the house of David, they made Jeroboam son of Nebat their king. Jeroboam enticed Israel away from following the Lord and caused them to commit a great sin. The Israelites persisted in all the sins of Jeroboam and did not turn away from them until the Lord removed them from his presence, as he had warned through all his servants the prophets. So the people of Israel were taken from their homeland into exile in Assyria, and they are still there. The king of Assyria brought the people from Babylon, Cutha, Ava, Hamath, and Sepharvaim, and settled them in the towns of Samaria to replace the Israelites. Hi, Star Mist, good morning. They took over Samaria and lived in its towns. When they first lived there, they did not worship the Lord, so he sent lions among them and killed some of the people. It was reported to the king of Assyria, "The people you deported and resettled in the town of Samaria do not know what the God of that country requires. He has sent lions among them, which are killing them off because the people do not know what he requires." Then the king of Assyria gave this order: Have one of the priests you took captive from Samaria go back to live there and teach the people what the God of the land requires. So one of the priests who had been exiled from Samaria came to live in Bethel and taught them how to worship the Lord. Nevertheless, each national group made its own gods in the several towns where they settled, and set them in the shrines. The people of Samaria had made it at the high places. The people from Babylon made Sukkoth Benoth. Those from Cutha made Nergal, and those from Hamath made Ashima. The Arvites made Nibhaz and Tartak, and the Sepharvites burnt their children in the fire as sacrifices to Adramelech and Anamelech, the gods of Seravaim. They worshipped the Lord, but they also appointed all sorts of their own people to officiate for them as the priests in the shrines at the high places. They worshipped the Lord, but they also served their own gods in accordance with the customs of the nations from where they had been brought. To this day, they persist in their former practices. They neither worship the Lord nor adhere to the decrees and regulations, the laws and the commands of the Lord gave his descendants of Jacob, whom he named Israel. When the Lord made a covenant with the Israelites, he commanded them, "Do not worship any other gods or bow down to them, serve them, or sacrifice to them. But the Lord, who brought you up out of Egypt with mighty power and outstretched arm, is the one you must worship. To him you shall bow down and take him up, and to him offer sacrifices. You must always be careful to keep the decrees and regulations, the laws and commands he wrote for you. Do not worship other gods. Do not forget the covenant I had made for you, and do not worship other gods." Rather, worship the Lord your God. It is he who will deliver you from the hands of all your enemies. They would not listen, however, but persisted in their former practices. Even while these people were worshipping the Lord, they were serving idols. To this day, their children and grandchildren continue to do as their ancestors did. In the 3rd year of Hoshea, son of Elah, king of Israel, Hezekiah, son of Ahaz, king of Judah, began to reign. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 29 years. His mother's name was Abijah, daughter of Zechariah, and he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, just as his father David had done. No way. Pause. He removed the high places, smashed the sacred stones, and cut down the Asherah poles. Nah, nah. Just when you thought it was not possible, just when you thought it was over. What's his name? Hoshea. He did it. I thought we already went. Hoshea. Oh, Hezekiah. He broke into pieces the bronze snake Moses had made. What? For up to that time, the Israelites had been burning incense to it. It was called Nehushtan. Hezekiah trusted the Lord, the God of Israel. There was no one like him among all the kings of Judah, either before him or after him. He held fast to the Lord and did not stop following him. He kept the commands of the Lord Moses had given Moses. And the Lord was with him. He was successful in whatever he undertook. He rebelled against the king of Assyria and did not serve him. From watchtower to fortified city, he defeated the Philistines as far as Gaza and its territory. In King Hezekiah's 4th year, which was the 7th year of Hoshea son of Elah, king of Israel, Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, marched against Samaria and laid siege to it. At the end of the 3 years, the Assyrians took it. So Samaria was captured by Hezekiah's 6th year, which was the 9th year of Hoshea, king of Israel. The king of Assyria deported Israel to Assyria and settled them in Hala, in Gozan on the harbor river in the towns of the Medes. This happened because they had not obeyed the Lord their God, but they had violated his covenant, all that Moses, the servant of the Lord commanded. They neither listened to the commands nor carried them out. In the 14th year of King Hezekiah's reign, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, attacked the fortified cities of Judah and captured them. So Hezekiah, king of Judah, sent this message to the king of Assyria at Lachish: I have done wrong. Withdraw from me, and I will pay whatever you demand for me. The king of Assyria exacted from Hezekiah, king of Judah, 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. So Hezekiah gave him all the silver that was found in the temple of the Lord and in the treasuries of the royal palace. At this time Hezekiah, king of Judah, stripped off the gold with which he had covered the doors and the doorposts of the temple of the Lord, and gave it to the king of Assyria. The king of Assyria sent his supreme commander, his chief officers, and his field commander with a large army from Lachish to King Hezekiah in Jerusalem. They came up to Jerusalem and stopped at the aqueduct of the upper pool on the road to Washerman's field. They called for the king, and Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the palace administrator, Shebna the secretary, and Joah, son of Asaph, the recorder, went out to them. The field commander said to them, Tell Hezekiah, this is what your great king, the king of Assyria, says. On what are you basing this confidence of yours? You say that you have a counsel and the might for war, but you speak only empty words. On whom you are depending that you rebel against me? Look, I know you are depending on Egypt and splintered reed of a staff. That splintered reed of a staff, which pierces the hand of anyone who leans on it. Such is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all who depend on him. But if you say to me, we are depending on the Lord our God, isn't he the one whose high places and altars Hezekiah removed, saying to Judah and Jerusalem, you must worship before this altar in Jerusalem? Come now, make a bargain with my master, the king of Assyria. I will give you 2,000 horses if you can put riders on them. How can you repulse one officer of the least of my master's officials, even though you are depending on Egypt for chariots and horsemen? Furthermore, I came to attack. I Furthermore, have I come to attack and destroy this place without word from the Lord? The Lord himself told me to march against this country and destroy it. Then Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, and Shebna and Joah said to the field commander, "Please speak to your servants in Aramaic, since we understand it. Don't speak to us in Hebrew in the hearing of the people of the wall." But the commander replied, Was it only to your master and you that my master sent me to say these things, and not to the people sitting on the wall, who, like you, will have to eat their own excrement and drink their own urine? What? Then the commander stood and called out in Hebrew, "Hear the word of the great king, the king of Assyria. This is what the king says. Do not let Hezekiah deceive you. He cannot deliver you from my hand. Do not let Hezekiah persuade you to trust in the Lord when he says, the Lord will surely deliver us. This city will not be given into the hand of Assyria. Do not listen to Hezekiah. This is what the king of Assyria says. Make peace." They talk so weirdly. The way they talk. "This is what the king of Assyria says. Make peace with me and come out to me. Then each of you will eat fruit from your own vine and fig tree and drink water from your own cistern, until I come and take you to a land like your own, a land of grain and new wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of olive trees and honey. Choose life and not death. Do not listen to Hezekiah, for he is misleading you when he says, the Lord will deliver us. Has the God of any nation ever delivered his hand from the hand of the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the gods of Seraphaim and Hena and Iva? Have they rescued Samaria from my hand? Who of all the gods of these countries have been able to save his land from me? How then can the Lord deliver Jerusalem from my hand?" But the people remained silent and said nothing in reply, because the king had commanded, "Do not answer him." Then Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the palace administrator, Shebna the secretary, and Joah, son of Asaph, the recorder, went to Hezekiah with their clothes torn and told him what the field commander had said. When King Hezekiah heard this, he tore his clothes and put on sackcloth and went into the temple of the Lord. He sent Eliakim, the palace administrator, Shebna the secretary, and the leading priests, all wearing sackcloth, to the prophet Isaiah, son of Amoz. He told him, "This is what Hezekiah says. This day is a day of distress and rebuke and disgrace, as when children come to the moment of birth, and there is no strength to deliver them. It may be that the Lord your God will hear all the words of the field commander, whom his master the king of Assyria has sent me to ridicule the living God, and that he will rebuke him for the words the Lord your God has heard. Therefore pray for the remnant that he still survives." When King Hezekiah's officials came to Isaiah said to them, "Tell your master, this is what the Lord says. Do not be afraid of what you have heard, those words with which the underlings of the kings of Assyria has blasphemed me. Listen, when he hears a certain report, I will make him want to return to his own country, and there I will have him cut down with the sword." When the field commander heard that the king of Assyria had left Lachish, he withdrew and found the king fighting against Libnah. Now Sennacherib received a report that Tirhakah, the king of Cush, was marching out to fight against him. So he again sent messages to Hezekiah with this word: "Say to Hezekiah, king of Judah, do not let the God you depend on deceive you when he says, Jerusalem will not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Surely you have heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all the countries, destroying them completely, and you will be delivered? Did the gods of the nations that were destroyed by the predecessors deliver them? The gods of Gozan, Haran, Rezeph, and the people of Eden who were in Tel Assa? Where is the king of Hamath or the king of Arpad? Where are the kings of Lair, Seravaim, and Henna and Iva? Hezekiah received the letter from the messengers and read it. And he went up to the temple of the Lord and spread it out before the Lord. And Hezekiah prayed to the Lord, Lord, the God of Israel, enthroned between the cherubim, you alone are God over all the kingdoms of earth. You have made heavens and earth. Give ear, Lord, and hear. Open your eyes, Lord, and see. Listen to the words Sennacherib has sent to ridicule the living God. It is true, Lord, that the Assyrian kings have laid waste these nations and their lands. They have thrown their gods into the fire and destroyed them. For they were not gods, but only wood and stone fashioned by human hands. Now, Lord, our God, deliver us from his hand, so that all the kingdoms of earth may know that you are alone, Lord our God. Then Uzziah, son of Amos, sent a message to Hezekiah. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I have heard your prayer concerning Sennacherib, king of Assyria. This is what the Lord has spoken against him. Virgin daughter Zion despises you and mocks you. Daughter Jerusalem tosses her head as you flee. Who is it you have ridiculed and blasphemed? Against whom have you raised your voice and lifted your eyes in pride? Against the Holy One of Israel? By your messengers you have ridiculed the Lord, and you have said, with many chariots I have ascended the heights of the mountains, with the utmost heights of Lebanon. I have cut down its tallest cedars, the choicest of its junipers. I have reached its remotest parts, the finest of its forests. I have dug wells in foreign lands and drunk the water there. With the soles of my feet I have dried up all the streams of Egypt. Have you not heard? Long ago I ordained it. In days of old I planned it. Now I have brought it to pass that you have turned fortified cities into piles of stone. Their people, drained of power, are dismayed and put to shame. They are like plants in the field, like tender green shoots, like grass sprouting on the roof, scorched before it grows up. But I know where you are and when you came, and go how you rage against me. Because you rage against me, because your insolence has reached my ears. I will put my hook in your nose and my bit in your mouth. His what in his mouth? My bit? What does that mean? God's bit. And I will make you return by the way you came. This will be the sign for you, Hezekiah. This year you will eat what grows by itself, the second year what springs from that, but in the third year sow and reap, plant vineyards and eat their fruit. Nice. Once more a remnant of the kingdom of Judah will take root. We're almost done. Below and bear fruit above. For out of Jerusalem will come a remnant, out of Mount Zion, a band of survivors. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. Therefore, this is what the Lord says concerning the king of Assyria. He will not enter the city, or shoot an arrow here. He will not come before it with a shield, or build a siege ramp against it. By the way that he came, he will return. He will not enter the city, declares the Lord. I will defend this city and save it, for my sake and for the sake of David my servant. That night the angel of the Lord went out and put to death 185,000 in the Assyrian camp. Then the people got up the next morning. There were all the dead bodies. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, broke camp and withdrew. He returned to Nineveh and stayed there. What, did they just leave all the bodies there? That's a lot of bodies. One day, while he was worshipping in the temple of his god, Nisroch, his sons Adramelech and Sharezer killed him with the sword, and they escaped to the land of Ararat. And Esarhaddon has succeeded him. His son succeeded him as king. In those days, Hezekiah became ill and was at the point of death. The prophet Isaiah, son of Amos, went to him and said, "This is what the Lord says. Put your house in order, because you are going to die. You will not recover." Hezekiah turned his face to the wall and prayed to the Lord. "Remember, Lord, how I have walked before you faithfully and with wholehearted devotion, and have done what is good in your eyes." And Hezekiah wept bitterly. Before Isaiah had left in the middle court, the word of the Lord came to him. "Go back and tell Hezekiah, the ruler of my people, this is what the Lord, the God of your father David, says. I have heard your prayer and have seen your tears. I will heal you. On the third day from now, you will go up to the temple of the Lord. I will add 15 years to your life, and I will deliver you and this city from the hand of the king of Assyria. I will defend this city for my sake and for the sake of my servant, David." Then Isaiah said, "Prepare your poultice of figs." They did so and applied it to the boil, and he recovered. Really? You just pray and you get 15 years of life? Even though God said that you were going to die? Hezekiah had asked Isaiah, "What will be the sign that the Lord will heal me, and that I will go up from the temple of the Lord on the third day from now?" Isaiah answered, "This is the Lord's sign to you that the Lord will do what he has promised. Shall the shadow go forward 10 steps, or shall it go back 10 steps?" "It is a simple matter for the shadow to go forward 10 steps, said Hezekiah. "Rather, have it go back 10 steps. Then the prophet Isaiah called on the Lord, and the Lord made the shadow go back the 10 steps it had gone down on the stairway of Ahaz. At that time, Marduk-Baladan, son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent Hezekiah letters and a gift, because he had heard of Hezekiah's illness. Hezekiah received the envoys and showed them all the ways of his storehouses, all that was in his storehouses, the silver, the gold, the spices, and the fine olive oil, his armory, and everything found among his treasures. There was nothing in his palace or all his kingdom that Hezekiah did not show them. When Isaiah the prophet went to King Hezekiah and asked, "What did those men say, and where did they come from?" "From a distant land," Hezekiah replied. "They came from Babylon." The prophet asked, "What did they see in your palace?" "They saw everything in my palace," Hezekiah said. "There is nothing among my treasures that I did not show them." Then Isaiah said to Hezekiah, "Hear the word of the Lord. The time will surely come when everything in your palace and all that your predecessors have stored up to this day will be carried off to Babylon. Nothing will be left, says the Lord. And some of your descendants, your own flesh and blood, who will be born to you, will be taken away, and they will become eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon." "The word of the Lord you have spoken is good," Hezekiah replied. For he thought, "Will there not be peace and serenity in my lifetime?" As for the other events of Hezekiah's reign, all his achievements, and how he made the pool and the tunnel by which he brought water in the city, Are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? Hezekiah rested with his ancestors, and Manasseh, his son, succeeded him as king. Manasseh was 12 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 55 years. His mother's name was Hephzibah. He did evils in the eyes of the Lord. What? No, he didn't. Who? Oh, talking about a different person now. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, following the detestable practices of the nations the Lord had driven out before the Israelites. He rebuilt the high places his father Hezekiah had destroyed. He also erected altars to Baal and made an Asherah pole, as Ahab, king of Israel, had done. He bowed down to all the starry hosts and worshipped them. Actual moron. He built altars in the temple of the Lord, of which the Lord had said, "In Jerusalem I will put my name." In the two courts of the temple of the Lord, he built altars to all the starry hosts. What is a starry host? Is that like astrology? He sacrificed his son in the fire, He sacrificed his son in the fire, but he's 12 years old. What? He practiced... Oh, I guess it could have happened in any of the 55 years he was reigning also. He sacrificed his own son in the fire, practiced divination, sought omens, and consulted mediums and spiritists. He did much evil in the eyes of the Lord, arousing his anger. He took the carved Asherah pole he had made and put it in the temple of which the Lord had said to David and his son Solomon, "In this temple and Jerusalem which I have chosen out of all the tribes, I will put my name forever. I will not again make the feet of the Israelites wander from the land I gave them ancestors. If only they will be careful to do everything I command them and will keep the whole law that my servant Moses gave them." But the people did not listen. Manasseh led them astray, so that they did more evil than the nations of the Lord had destroyed before the Israelites. The Lord said through his servants, the prophets, "Manasseh, king of Judah, has committed these detestable sins. He has done more evil than the Amorites who preceded him, and has led Judah into sin with his idols. Therefore, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I am going to bring such disaster on Jerusalem and Judah that the ears of everyone who hears of it will tingle. I will stretch out over Jerusalem and measuring line against Samaria, and the plumb line against the house of Ahab. I will wipe out Jerusalem, and as one wipes a dish, wiping it and turning it upside down. I will forsake the remnant of my inheritance and give them into the hands of enemies. They will be looted and plundered by all their enemies. They have done evil in my eyes, and have aroused my anger from the day their ancestors came out of Egypt until this day. Well, it seems like God wanted this. It does it not? Hezekiah was a perfect king. He did everything the Lord wanted. How long did he reign? How long did he reign? How long? How long? He reigned 29 years. So the best king they had in how many years? Like 100 years, 200 years. The best king that they had, 300 years. He reigned for 29 years or whatever. And then the next king, and then his son reigns 55 years and fricks it all up worse than... Sounds like God wanted that if he's letting it happen. if they removed the good king in place of the bad king. I don't know where I was. Brings to tingle, wiping dishes. I will forsake the remnant of my inheritance and give them into the hands of the enemies. They will be looted and plundered by all their enemies. They have done evil in my eyes, and have aroused my anger from the day their ancestors came out of Egypt until this day. Moreover, Manasseh also shed so much innocent blood that he filled Jerusalem from end to end, beside the sin that he had caused Judah to commit, so that he did evil in the eyes of the Lord. As for the other events of Manasseh's reign, and all he did, including the sin he committed, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? Manasseh rested with his ancestors and was buried in his palace garden, the garden of Uzzah. And Amon his son succeeded him as king. Gosh, I hope Amon does right in the eyes of the Lord and does not commit sin. Amon was 22 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 2 years. Ooh, that's not a good amount of years. His mother's name was Meshullemeth, daughter of Haraz. She was from Jotbah. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord. Damn. So why does this guy get 2 years, but the other guy gets 55 years of doing evil? It sounds like God just wants like a reset, like an excuse to wipe everything out so he can start over or something. Yeah. He followed completely the ways of his father, worshipping the idols his father had worshipped and bowing down to them. He forsook the Lord, the God of his ancestors, and did not walk in obedience to him. Amon's official conspired against him and assassinated the king in his palace. Then the people of the land killed all who had plotted against him, King Amon, and they made Josiah his son king in his place. As for the other events of Amon's reign and what they did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? He was buried in his tomb in the garden of Uzzah, and Josiah his son succeeded him as king. Go, Josiah, don't do it. Don't do bad in the eyes of the Lord. Josiah was 8 years old when he became king. Ooh, I don't know if 8 years is old enough to understand what is right and wrong. Josiah was 8 years old when he became king. He reigned in Jerusalem 31 years. His mother's name was Jedidah, daughter of Adiah. She was from Bozkah. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, against all odds, and followed completely the ways of his father David, not turning aside from the right or to the left. In the 18th year of his reign, King Josiah sent the secretary, Shaphan, son of Azaliah, the son of Meshullam, to the temple of the Lord. He said, "Go up to Hilkiah the high priest, and have him get ready the money that has been brought into the temple of the Lord, which the doorkeepers have collected from the people. Have them entrusted to the men appointed to supervise the work on the temple, and have these men pay the workers who repair the temple of the Lord, the carpenters, the builders, and the masons. Also have them purchase timber and dressed stone to repair the temple. But they need not account for the money entrusted to them, because they are honest in their dealings." Hilkiah, the high priest, said to Shaphan, the secretary, "I have found the book of the law in the temple of the Lord." He gave it to Shaphan, who read it. Then Shaphan, the secretary, went to the king and reported to him, Your officials have paid out the money that was in the temple of the Lord and have entrusted it to the workers and the supervisors at the temple. Then Shaphan the secretary informed the king, Hilkiah the priest has given me a book. And Shaphan read it in the presence of the king. When the king heard the words of the book of the law, he tore his robes. He gave his orders to Hilkiah the priest, Ahikam son of Shaphan, Akbar son of Micaiah, Shaphan the secretary, and Uzziah the king's attendant. Go and inquire of the Lord for me, and for the people and for all Judah about what is written in the book that has been found. Great is the Lord's anger that burns against us, because those who have gone before us have not obeyed the word of this book. They have not acted in accordance with all that is written there concerning us. Hilkiah the priest, Ahikam, Akbar, Shaphan, and Uzziah went to speak to the prophet Huldah, who was the wife of Shallum, son of Tikvah, the son of Harhas, keeper of the wardrobe. She lived in Jerusalem in the new quarter. She said to them, This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Tell the man who sent you to me, this is what the Lord says. I am going to bring disaster on the place and its people according to everything written in the book the king of Judah has read. Because they have forsaken me and burned incense to other gods and aroused my anger by all the idols their hands have made. My anger will burn against this place and will not be quenched. Tell the king of Judah who sent you to inquire of the Lord. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says concerning the words you heard. Because your heart was responsive and you humbled yourself before the Lord when you heard what I have spoken against this place and its people, that they would become a curse and be laid waste. And because you tore your robes and wept in my presence, I also have heard you, declares the Lord. Therefore I will gather you to your ancestors, and you will be buried in peace. Wow. Thank you, Lord, for me and all my service to you. Thank you for burying me with my ancestors. Your eyes will not see the disaster I am going to bring to this place. So they took her answer back to the king. Oh, so for my unconditional love and worship to you, my reward is an early death. That's awesome. Thank you, Lord. Then the king called together all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem. He went up to the temple of the Lord with the people of Judah, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the priests and the prophets, all the people from the least to the greatest. He read in their hearing all the words of the book of the covenant, which had been found in the temple of the Lord. The king stood by the pillar and renewed the covenant in the presence of the Lord, to follow the Lord and keep his commands, statutes, and decrees with all his heart and all his soul, thus confirming the words of the covenant written in the book. Then all the people pledged themselves to the covenant. The king ordered Hilkiah, the high priest, the priests next in rank, and the doorkeepers to remove from the temple of the Lord all the articles made of Baal and Asherah, and all the starry hosts. He burned them outside Jerusalem in the field of Kidron Valley, and took the ashes to Bethel. He did away with the idolatrous priests appointed by the kings of Judah to burn incense at the high places of the towns of Judah, and on those around Jerusalem. Those who burned incense to Baal, to the sun, the moon, the constellations, and to all the Lord, and to all the starry hosts. He took the Asherah pole from the temple of the Lord to the Kidron Valley outside Jerusalem and burnt it there. He ground it to powder and scattered the dust over the graves of the common people. What? He also tore down the quarters of the male shrine prostitutes that were in the temple of the Lord, the quarters where women did weaving for Asherah. Josiah brought all the priests from the town of Judah and desecrated the high places, from Geba to Beersheba, where the priests had burned incense. He broke down the gateway at the entrance of the gate of Joshua, the city governor, which was on the left of the city gate. Although the priests of the high places did not serve at the altar of the Lord in Jerusalem, they ate unleavened bread with their fellow priests. He desecrated Topheth, which was in the valley of Ben Hinnom, so no one could use it to sacrifice their son or daughter in the fire to Molech. He removed from the entrance to the temple of the Lord the horses that the kings of Judah had dedicated to the sun. They were in the court near the room of an official named Nathan Melech. Josiah then burnt the chariots dedicated to the sun. He pulled down the altars to the kings of Judah and erected on the roof near the upper room of Ahaz and the altars of Manasseh had built in the two courts of the temple of the Lord. He removed from them from there, smashed them to pieces, and threw the rubble into the Kidron Valley. The king also desecrated the high places that were east of Jerusalem on the south of the hill of corruption, the ones Solomon king of Israel had built for Ashtaroth, the vile goddess of the Sidonians. Solomon did that? I thought Solomon was good. That's David's son. For Chemosh, the vile god of Moab, and for Molech, the detestable god of people of the Ammon. Oh no, Solomon had relations with 700 women. That's right. He did almost perfect, but he accidentally had sex with 700 non-Israeli women, like outsider women, and then he started building altars for their gods. Man slept around. He's a player. Josiah smashed the sacred stones and cut down the Asherah poles and covered the sites with human bones. Even the altar at Bethel, the high place made by Jeroboam son of Nebat, who had caused Israel to sin, even that altar and high place he demolished. He burnt the high places and ground it to powder, and burnt the Asherah pole also. Then Josiah looked around, and when he saw the tombs that were there on the hillside, he had the bones removed from them and burned on the altar to defile it, in accordance with the word of the Lord proclaimed by the man of God who foretold these things. The king asked, "What is that tombstone I see?" The people of the city said, "It marks the tomb of the man of God who came from Judah and pronounced against the altar of Bethel the very things you have done to it." "Leave it alone," he said. Do not let anyone disturb his bones." So they spared his bones and those of the prophet who had came from Samaria. Was that Elijah and Elisha? Just as he had done at Bethel, Josiah removed all the shrines at the high places that the kings of Israel had built in the towns of Samaria, and that had aroused the Lord's anger. Josiah slaughtered all the priests of those high places on the altars, and burned human bones on them. Then he went back to Jerusalem. The king gave this order to all the people: "Celebrate the Passover to the Lord your God, as it is written in the book of the covenant. Neither in the days of the judges who led Israel, nor in the days of the kings in Israel and the kings of Judah had any such Passover been observed." Really? Really? Nobody celebrated Passover over hundreds of years? That's crazy. But in the 18th year of King Josiah, the Passover was celebrated to the Lord in Jerusalem. Furthermore, come on, God, give them a break. Look at all of the good they've done now. Don't kill Josiah. Just give him a chance. Let him live long and fix. He can fix it. He can fix the whole world. Furthermore, Josiah got rid of the mediums and spiritists, the household gods, the idols, and all the other detestable things seen in Judah and Jerusalem. This he did to fulfill the requirements of the law written in the book of Hilkiah, the priest had discovered in the temple of the Lord. Neither before nor after Josiah was there a king like him who turned to the Lord as he did, with all his heart and with all his soul and with all his strength, in accordance with all the law of Moses. Nevertheless, the Lord did not turn away from the heat of his fierce anger, which burned against Judah. No, because of all that Manasseh had done to arouse his anger. So the Lord said, I will remove Judah also from my presence, as I removed Israel, and I will reject Jerusalem, the city I chose, and this temple, about which I said my name shall be there. As for the other events of Josiah's reign and all he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of kings of Judah? While Josiah was king, Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, went up to the Euphrates River to help the king of Assyria. The king Josiah marched out to meet him in battle, but Necho faced him and killed him at Megiddo. Josiah's servant brought his body in a chariot from Megiddo to Jerusalem and buried him in his own tomb. And the people of the land took Jehoahaz, son of Josiah, and anointed him, and made him king in place of his father. Jehoahaz was 20 years old when he became king. Jehoahaz? Didn't we already have like 5 Jehoahazes? And he reigned in. Why would you name your son after sinning kings? Kings that have done bad in the eyes of the Lord. And he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. His mother's name was Hamutal, daughter of Jeremiah. She was from Libnah. Oh, and what did he do? He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as his predecessors had done. Pharaoh Necho put him in chains at Riblah. Yeah, good. In the land of Hamath, so that he might not reign in Jerusalem. And he imposed on Judah a levy of 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold. Pharaoh Necho made Eliakim, son of Josiah, king, in place of his father Josiah, and changed Eliakim's name to Jehoiakim. Why? But he took Jehoahaz and carried him off to Egypt, and there he died. Jehoiakim paid Pharaoh Necho the silver and gold he demanded. In order to do so, he taxed the land and exacted the silver and gold from the people of the land according to their assessments. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he became king. He reigned in Jerusalem 11 years. His mother's name was Zebedah, daughter of Pedaiah. He was from Rumah. And he did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as his predecessors had done. Wow. Oh, there's another chapter. I thought that was it. During Jehoiakim's reign, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, invaded the land, and Jehoiakim became his vessel for 3 years. But then he turned against Nebuchadnezzar and rebelled, The Lord sent a Babylonian, Aramean, Moabite, and Ammonite raiders against him to destroy Judah, in accordance with the word of the Lord proclaimed by his servants the prophets. Surely these things happened to Judah according to the Lord's command, in order to remove them from his presence because of the sins of Manasseh and all he had done, including the shedding of innocent blood. For he had filled Jerusalem with innocent blood, and the Lord was not willing to forgive. As for the other events of Jehoiakim's reign and all he did, are they not written in the book of the Annals and the kings of Judah? Jehoiakim rested with his ancestors, and Jehoiachin, his son, succeeded him as king. The king of Egypt did not march out from his own country again, because the king of Babylon had taken all his territory. From the Wadi of Egypt to the Euphrates River. Jehoiachin was 18 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. His mother's name was Nehushta, daughter of Elnathan. She was from Jerusalem. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as his father had done. At that time, the officers of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, advanced on Jerusalem and laid siege to it. And Nebuchadnezzar himself came up to the city while his officers were besieging it. Jehoiachin, king of Judah, his mother, his attendants, his nobles, and his officials all surrounded him. In the 8th year of the reign of the king of Babylon, he took Jehoiachin prisoner, as the Lord had declared. Nebuchadnezzar removed the treasures from the temple of the Lord and from the royal palace, and cut up the gold articles that Solomon, king of Israel, had made for the temple of the Lord. He carried all Jerusalem into exile, and the officers, and the fighting men, and all the skilled workers and artisans, a total of 10,000. Only the poorest people of the land were left. Nebuchadnezzar took Jehoiachin captive to Babylon. He also took from Jerusalem to Babylon the king's mother, his wives, his officials, and the prominent people of the land. The king of Babylon also departed to Babylon, the entire force of 7,000 fighting men, strong and fit for war, and 1,000 skilled workers and artisans. He made Mattaniah, Jehoiachin's uncle, king in his place, and changed his name to Zedekiah. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 11 years. His mother's name was Hamatal. I thought they laid siege to it, as in they destroyed it. His mother's name was Hamatal, daughter of Jeremiah. She was from Libnah. I'm getting sick of this. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as Jehoiakim had done. It was because of the Lord's anger that all of this happened to Jerusalem and Judah. And in the end, he thrust them from his presence. Now Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. So in the 9th year of Zedekiah's reign, on the 10th day of the 10th month, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, marched against Jerusalem with his whole army. He encamped outside the city and built siege works all around it. The city was kept under siege until the 11th year of King Zedekiah. By the 9th day of the 4th month, the famine in the city had become so severe that there was no food for the people to eat. Then the city wall was broken through, and the whole army fled at night through the gate between the 2 walls near the king's garden. Though the Babylonians were surrounding the city, they fled towards Arabah. But the Babylonian army pursued the king and overtook him in the plains of Jericho. All his soldiers were separated from him and scattered, and he was captured. He was taken to the king of Babylon at Riblah, where sentence was pronounced on him. They killed the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes. Then they put out his eyes, bound him with bronze shackles, and took him to Babylon. On the 7th day of the 5th month, in the 19th year of Nebuchadnezzar's king of Babylon, Nebuzaradan, commander of the imperial guard and official to the king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem. He set fire to the temple of the Lord, the royal palace, and all the houses of Jerusalem. Every important building he burnt down. The whole Babylon army under the commander of the imperial guard broke down the walls around Jerusalem. Nebuzaradan, the commander of the guard, carried into exile the people who remained in the city, along with the rest of the populace and those who had deserted to the king of Babylon. But the commander left behind some of the poorest people of the land to work the vineyards and fields. The Babylonians broke up the bronze pillars, the movable stands, and the bronze sea that were at the temple of the Lord, and they carried the bronze to Babylon. They also took away pots, shovels, wick trimmers, dishes, and all the bronze articles used in the temple service. The commander of the imperial guard took away the censers and sprinkling bowls, all that were made of pure gold or silver. The bronze from the 2 pillars, the sea, and the movable stands, which Solomon had made for the temple of the Lord, was more than could be weighed. Each pillar was 18 cubits high. The bronze capital on top of the one pillar was 3 cubits high and was decorated with a network of pomegranates and bronze all around. The other pillar, with its network, was similar. The commander of the guard took as prisoners Sariah, the chief priest, Zephaniah, the priest next in rank, and the 3 doorkeepers. Of those still in the city, he took the officers in charge of the fighting men and 5 royal advisors. He took the secretary, who was chief officer in charge of conscripting the people of the land, and 60 of the conscripts who were found in the city. Nebuzaradan, the commander, took them all and brought them to the king of Babylon at Riblah. There at Riblah, in the land of Hamath, the king had them executed. So Judah went into captivity away from her land. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, appointed Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, to be over the people he had left behind in Judah. When all the army officers and their men heard that the king of Babylon had appointed Gedaliah as governor, they came to Gedaliah at Mizpah. Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, Jonathan, son of Kareah, Sariah, son of Tanhamath, the Netophathite, Jazaniah, the son of Makathite, and their men. Gedaliah took an oath to reassure them and their men. "Do not be afraid of the Babylonian officials," he said. "Settle down in the land and serve the king of Babylon, and it will go well with you." In the 7th month, however, excuse me, how unladylike. In the 7th month, however, Ishmael, son of Nethiah, the son of Elishama, who was of royal blood, came with 10 men and assassinated Gedaliah, and also the men of Judah, and the Babylonians who were with him at Mizpah. What? At this, all the people, from the least to the greatest, together with the army officers, fled to Egypt for fear of the Babylonians. In the 37th year of the exile of Jehoiachin, king of Judah, in the year Marduk became king of Babylon, he released Jehoiachin, king of Judah, from prison. He did this on the 27th day of the 12th month. He spoke kindly to him and gave him a seat of honor higher than those of the other kings who were with him in Babylon. So Jehoiachin put aside his prison clothes, and for the rest of his life ate regularly at the king's table. Day by day the king gave Jehoiachin a regular allowance as long as he lived. The whole Babylonian army under the command of the imperial guard broke. What? That's it? Is that it? That can't be where it ends. It can't be. It can't be. That's it. Book of Kings 2. Happy ending. Not really. We finally finished the Book of the Kings. Oh, goodness. I finally finished. Oh boy. Oh boy. Does that mean Israel is over? Is Israel defeated? That can't be it, right? There's nobody. No, Israel being defeated is not W ending. Who's running Israel now? If everybody in Israel got captured or died, who is running Israel? I was thinking while I was reading this, what if okay, probably weird topic. What if never mind, I'm not gonna say it. Stupid. So okay. So wow, Israel was destroyed. Was destroyed. What did they rebuild by like just the farmers? I'm kind of upset at that. The Josiah, I think his name was. He tried so hard to amend what all the other kings did. He should have, but then they I really thought God was gonna forgive the people because they turned back to God. They came back to God. What could the next chapter possibly even be about? Can we read a little bit of the next one? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Can we skip the next book? What the hell? Oh no, oh no, oh no. You won't believe it. You won't believe it. I'm gonna skip halfway. David. Chronicles? What does Chronicles mean? I don't know if I can be bothered reading this. It's literally just talking. Just chatting. Actual chatting. The whole thing is like, it's just an account. It's literally a list of names. The whole book. How many chapters? 29 chapters of names and families. We don't have to read that, right? Jariah had 2,700 relatives. Jeez. This is the list of Israelites, heads of families, commanders of thousands, army divisions. I think I'll skip Chronicles. Thoughts? Are you happy with that? Lists of people in the army and their family. David's plans for the temple. It's kind of just David summoned the officials of Israel to assemble at Jerusalem. The officials we're back to David. David's been dead for like 600 years. David rose to his feet. Listen to me, my people. I had it in my heart to build a house as place of rest for the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah, we already know all of this. Okay, what's Chronicles 2 about? There's 2 Chronicles. 1 Chronicle book wasn't enough, but actually 2 Chronicles. "36 chapters. Or maybe we can read it, but I'll skip all the parts where it's just names being listed. And see if it's like, Solomon, son of David, will establish himself firmly over the kingdom, for his Lord was with him, made him exceedingly great. Solomon spoke to all Israel, the commanders of thousands. Solomon and the whole assembly went to the high place. David had brought the Ark of the Covenant, but the bronze altar that Bezalel had made input required. God appeared to Solomon. Ask for whatever you want me to give you. Solomon answered, you have shown your king numerous. Give me wisdom. Yeah, it's just a rehash of everything we've already read. But maybe it goes a little more in depth to David and Solomon. I'm good on that. I'm actually good. What are the latest chapters? Ahaz. Oh, maybe this is the Book of the Annals. Is the Chronicles the Book of the Annals? Is the Book of Chronicles the Book of the Annals? not exactly. They're related. These books were written after the Babylonian exile and retell Israel's history, especially focusing on kings, the temple, and worship. Okay, I'm not reading that. Next week we're up to Ezra. How many books have we read? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 books out of 66. We're almost there. We're almost finished. Hooray! Hooray! And we're skipping 2, so that's like 14. We're almost there. Hooray! I'm gonna go to bed, okay? I'm gonna go to bed because I'm tired. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed Bible. I hope you enjoyed the Bible. What happened in the Bible today?